Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Beautiful sunny day in South Florida. And hopefully, if you're up north and you got hit by snow, it's all gone and you're out playing golf or tennis today. Let's get started. Today's sponsor is Top Priority Care Services, one of our clients who is opted in for sponsorship. And if you're interested, please contact us after the webinar. Today's presentation is to bid or not to bid. Portions of our presentation were created and quite often presented by Eileen Kent, who is the sales Sherpa for Federal. And if you're interested in contacting Eileen, let us know at the end of the webinar and be more than happy to do the introduction. By now, you know who I am. I'm a service-disabled Vietnam vet and the oldest GSA consultant. And hard to remember, but back in 95, 96, I actually worked on the beta team for GSA for some of the programs that we now use. So that brings me to my most important point. Experience matters. We're approaching our 33rd year of doing GSA contracts and VA contracts, and be happy to help you if that's of interest. What's in it today? What's in it for you? And why are you here? You're looking for knowledge on generating revenue to help improve quality of life for you and your family. We're going to give you straight answers. Not going to give you all this fluff and blue smoke and mirrors. And if that means that we end up not doing business with you, so be it. But at least you have the truth to move forward. Today's agenda. I stole the phrase from a movie, to bid or not to bid. That is the question. Bidding is not always the answer. The short answer, the long-term answer, the easy and least expensive answer is GSA contracts. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the FAR, some of the requirements, and probably not going to address make versus buy because it's a one sentence statement and it makes it very simple for you. What is a bid? A nasty word is what a bid is. It could be a request for proposal, request for quote, a task order, open market, sole source negotiated. Remember that term, sole source negotiated. We're going to come back to that. We're here already. If you have a vehicle, I don't know how many of you already have a GSA contract, you're on SOUP, you have an 8A contract, Tribal, whichever, read the fine print. If you have, and I'm always going to use GSA and VA as an example, anything under 25K, they can click and buy it right on Advantage. They're supposed to review 2 other contracts, 2 other sources that must have a contract. You've already pre-negotiated your rates. They can still ask for spot discounts, budgetary concessions, things of that sort. But just remember, you have a contract. Therefore, you don't have to go through the voluminous process of all of these volumes and volumes of paperwork. RFPs from FBO.gov, FedBizOps, FBO.gov. Remember that. You must utilize FBO.gov, and I'm going to tell you why before you get out of here. If you're just trying to do business with the government on FBO, you're going to lose. I'm going to show you some statistics coming forward, and you'll realize what I'm saying just doesn't make sense if you want to continue down to bullet number 4. Eileen did a survey and calculations based on 40 hours, figured an average of $100 an hour. Not counting the business you lost while you were playing this game, 1 month investment is going to cost you $65,000 to go after a major procurement. I can tell you right now, we don't cost that much to get you a 5-year contract. You got a 5% chance of winning. 80% of those contracts that you're bidding on go back to the incumbent. They're already there. They're known. You know the saying, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. You need a federal sales team to get your foot in the door, visiting, calling, at least let them know you're there. And the first question they're going to ask you, no matter what, if they've got an RFP on the street, they're going to ask you, do you have a contract vehicle? If you say, yes, we have a GSA contract, here's a copy of it, they can cancel that procurement and give you an order on the spot. I'll let you think about that a moment. What do you get if you win a bid? I'll give you a hint. Begins with a C. A contract. Excuse me. Thought you already had a contract. If you already have a contract, why are you bidding? Now, we're going to talk about the nomenclature of the word bid later on, like I mentioned earlier. You don't need to bid. You already have a contract. My next question is, do you contact the buyer and let them know? As in the first question when they said, do you have a contract vehicle, when you contacted them to discuss it? Absolutely. Why? Because every single open market procurement that obligates tax dollars must have full contact information. Question, can you say ready-made contact list? Every one of my clients, customers, partners, all of them, I tell them, do not neglect FBO once you get your contract. There is all kinds of hidden gems under those rocks. But what is the GSA contract? And this is not about GSA contracts today. You're going to see where we're going with this in a moment. It's already negotiated. It can be used by any government agency. Now, if you have law enforcement, which is Group 84, or IT, few of the contracts, you can actually take that down into the state, local, government, municipal, education. One of our clients a couple of years ago, their first GSA order was to a college. First order amount, $250,000. Now, I'm going to assume, worst case, 10% profit. Good case, 20% profit. Not a bad investment. They more than paid for us for years to help them. There is no order limitation. It is the easiest because it's really not a RFP proposal process. It's an application process. Why do I say that? Because when you submit an open market RFP to bid, nasty word, bid, if you submit a proposal, you are competing with other companies offering the same type of product and or service. When you submit an application, yes, it's still an RFP. When you submit an application to GSA, GSA is negotiating with you and only you, and your pricing, terms, conditions, everything that makes that up is all based on how you do business in the commercial world. Now, it is an IDIQ contract. That's the beauty of it. No order limitation. It makes you a prime contractor also, which, as an old friend of mine said, it's a thing of beauty and joy for all. You'd be surprised how many companies that are smaller than you, bigger than you, majors, already primes, will be contacting you to do business with you in the government. We call that contractor teaming arrangement. You can see that video on our website. And for the record, let me do a quick cleanup. You can pull your slides today off of the View menu on your control panel, go to Handouts, and download them. Why do you need a contract? We've talked about SICA, Competition and Contracting Act. GSA is SICA compliant. Therefore, even your award when we finally sign the award document for GSA, that is not protestable, if that's a word. It's an order. It's not a competition. These are things I try to stress to everybody so many times, and they just have a hard time getting their head wrapped around it. Where do you start? How long have you been in business? 3 years or more? 2 years? A year? You tell me. It depends on the contracting officer. We had a client many years ago who had been doing what he was doing for 24 years, and his accountant convinced him that he should incorporate, become a company. They'd been in business 8 months as a company, so now it's 24 years, 8 months. GSA rejected him. They said he wasn't in business long enough. I had him do a write-up about all of his background, his past performance, his experience, education. All of a sudden now, he's got 24 years and 8 months experience on paper. He got his contract. And that answers my next question. How do you legally bypass this requirement? That's how you do it. Louisa, welcome. I'll be sending out a link so you can pull your slides today. If you go to your view menu on your control panel, you should see a link for handouts. If you can't download those, kindly shoot a question in and we'll get you a link so you can get them. Moving on. Is all this worth your time? What is your time worth in dollars? Every new prospective client I talk to asks the same question. Well, I'm bidding. We've got a bid machine. We have bid software. We're doing this. We're having fun. We're winning. And we're having a good time. You're losing. While you're messing around doing a bid, now it could be short. It could be 5 pages, 2 pages. It could be a quote, 1 page. Or it could be thousands of pages. I remember working with the bid team back in the 80s for a major black programs contract, which I can't talk about. We had 3 ring binders. We had 100 of them for the proposal, and we needed 5 copies of each. Now, I don't know if Office Depot, or don't remember if Office Depot was in business then, but I'm sure that was one heck of an order they got for 3 ring binders and paper. We had a whole floor that did nothing but proposal preparation. It was a bid floor. Well, we won it because we were the incumbent. So how much business did everybody else lose? Who knows? What about your peace of mind? But the 3 most important questions that I ask every prospective client: do you prepare your own taxes, and do you represent yourself in court? That means, do you have an accountant? Do you have an attorney? If you do, you should have somebody who, whether it's a bid expert, government contracts consultant, or a GSA/VA consultant. That's what we do. I learned many, many years ago, don't do my own taxes. I'll leave that story the way it is because you can have a good laugh. Do you plan on selling your business? Well, I can guarantee you one thing. If you've got any number of contracts, I don't care whether it's GSA, VA, SOUP, any kind of GWAC, pick one, doesn't matter, 8A contract. Any of those make your business more viable and ultimately puts more business in your pocket. Louisa, glad to see you found your handouts. Here's a stat for you. Now, we did this presentation in 2015, and I found the documents so that I could repurpose them and update them. This used to be 85%. Now it's 89%. And it was 90%. Now it's 95%. So the reason that the other 5% after the folks hire a professional is the fact that they're not qualified. Now, you're going to have a slide at the end that's going to have all the links you need. And the most important one, and the reason why it's the first one, is do you qualify for a GSA contract? Yes, I'm trying to get you away from bidding. You are going to die and go broke trying to live on bids. And don't think, well, I do a bunch of $3,500 orders and I've been doing them for years and I made $500,000 last year in profit and I'm a happy camper. Guess what? It violates Competition and Contracting Act. You will get that phone call one day that says, I can't do business with you anymore until you get a contract. That's not a happy thought. I've had 4 or 5 clients come running to me and say, we have to get a contract. They just cut off my gravy train. And my favorite comment always is, I told you so. And then they wait till July, August, say, can I get a contract by September 30th so I can get year-end money? Absolutely not. Almost nearly not going to happen. Impossible. You can't do it. You're not the only one trying to do that. I like to have 6 months to be able to maneuver and work with GSA to get your contract awarded. Most of the time, 30 to 120 days is pretty normal. What does it take if you decide you want to go it your own and become the 89% statistic and try to cut down your bidding? Bidding, you have to do bidding sometimes, especially if you want to bid something that you don't normally offer. I have a friend of mine, has no products, no services. He acts as a bid agent for numerous companies. If you're interested, contact me at the end. Be more than happy to put the two of you together. But he also does a lot of quoting for companies who already have a contract. And he's making a quite comfortable living. You must go through the qualification process. On our website, MarketUS.com, click on Do I Qualify? Make sure you have your SAM registration. We all know that debacle last year. It was a mess, especially if you went expired and it took 3 to 4 months to get renewed. And I understand why. By the way, the guy that was defrauding everybody, they got him. He's been ordered to pay restitution, and he is currently in what we call the Gray Bar Hilton. Make sure that you have a current open ratings with a digital certificate. You cannot do business with GSA or virtually any online contract administration agency now without a digital certificate. Open ratings takes about 2 weeks to get. If you're going GSA route, you must complete the Pathway to Success and the Readiness Assessment. We have both those documents. Then you've got to go through all the forms preparation and the review. And then hopefully you're ready to submit your application, which must be done electronically, which means you have to have a digital certificate. Without that, you can't even access GSA's offer system. How long should this take? I just told you, I cheated. I jumped ahead of myself. Well, 2 years, that's actually not a bad answer because I had a client, we submitted a VA contract application almost 2 years to the day to get it awarded. 1 year, if you're going for Group 84, which is law enforcement, fire, rescue, and all that, it's going to take a year. That came directly from the contracting officer. 6 months, that's what GSA asks for, is 120 to 180 days. 3 months is about normal, assuming that you're able to respond to any and all requests and get it done quickly. The clock can kind of compress for you. I've had them done in less than a month. The record, 3 days. It was early 90s, and actually it was late 90s, and I had a client that was working a $5 million order, and his contract had just expired, and his minions didn't tell him about it. So he called us on a Thursday. We got everything put together, submitted it Friday, and by Tuesday he had an award. The contracting specialist that had to work that weekend was not a happy camper. Why do agencies like buying using GSA and VA for that matter? VA, by the way, for those of you who don't know, VA has finally succumbed and said, we're lousy at creating applications for our contracts. You don't even want to know what it looks like. We're going to move over to GSA and manage it through the e-offer system. And for those of you following the news, it's going to happen, and it may happen this year, but definitely next year. GSA is combining all of their contracts into one and having each of your disciplines as a submenu of the contract. I'll let you read this. It's in your slides. The important thing in red, it complies with the Competition and Contracting Act. That's the important thing. Also, it can't be scrutinized. Now, if you're concerned about, well, I get GSA buyer calls me and says, I need a bid. They don't have the correct languaging, as a very famous instructor taught me one time. Languaging is very important. You are going to get requests for quote, but it's budgetary. Do I have enough money to afford what I'm trying to do? What's it going to cost? Case in point, which you'll see at the end of the fiscal year, usually right around the end of September, you'll get a call that says, I need to buy 100 laptops, and your GSA price is $1,200 each. But I don't have $120,000 in my budget. I've only got 105. So your GSA price, VA price says 120. That buyer only has 105. What do? You say, sorry, can't help you, or take the money and run. I'll take door number 2. I've seen it happen over and over and over every single year. $15,000 on that total amount of money, and it's probably more than that. I just did the math in my head. I'm sure it's incorrect. You take it. What you've now done is you've done that buyer a favor. That buyer knows you're flexible, willing to work with that agency. They're going to keep coming back to you for more and more and more orders. Socioeconomic determinations. 8A, woman-owned, small disadvantaged business, veteran-owned, service-disabled veteran-owned, HUBZone. We did HUBZone last week. And next week is capability statement. So those of you who do not have a capability statement, please register to attend. You must have one. 2 other things you must have. You must be able to accept credit cards, otherwise you can't do business with the government. You can do business with them, you just can't get paid. You must accept credit cards. And for the record, 66% of the folks that are registered on SAM do not accept credit cards. Here's one that's even worse. 72% of people registered on SAM don't even have a website. Why? Well, we advertise in the yellow pages. What, under AAAA, Scooby-Doo Jones? That is so 1950s. Here's a helpful link. Do you qualify? You need help getting it done? Schedule a no-cost interview. If you want to read a little bit deeper, or in depth, I should say, who we are, that'll help you. Upcoming webinar schedule, I just gave you the next one. It's next Thursday, same time, same place, same station, and it's on capability statements. Yes, this recording today will be posted on our website later today for those of you who want a rerun. So you can go into our video section and you can learn all about it. I'm done. If there's any questions, I'll take a few moments and address them. And I got some kind words coming in, so that's nice. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure, and which is highly unusual, I was able to actually end 2 minutes early for a change, which I don't mind going over. Louisa, hopefully you got your handouts, and if not, copy the email address, and I'll make sure you get a link. In fact, let me do that now. There's the link in case you didn't get it. I forgot I had it already copied on my clipboard. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us today, and may the rest of your week be healthy and profitable. Thank you.